Pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to another video here on BAOS. This evening, I thought we'd do something a little different. So, you guys might remember we had a really cool wrap-up video for 2017 that Tiff did, which was fantastic. I believe we're going to do something like that this year as well. But we figured we'd do something else. So, we were looking at the podcast stats, and we figured, like, you know what? Let's do a top 10 most popular podcast as voted by you from your downloads. So it was a really interesting list. When we actually generated the stats, it definitely didn't turn out how we thought. And you know, I'm not obsessed with the numbers. It's always interesting to see what people like. So you can, you know, as the content creators, we want to keep making things that people are into. So you know, we see which type of, you know, maybe podcasts from certain areas or are maybe on certain topics or with certain individuals are resonating more. But when I actually looked at the top 10, I hadn't done that before. I just look at them individually, not in like a group, and it was pretty damn interesting. So as I sip this Market Brewing Fest beer, let's run through the list, shall we? All right, number 10. Episode 94, Le Siège Social with Jean-Philippe Lalonde of LACTOCALYPSE. That was a great episode, super long. JP's a very straightforward man, he's very funny. That was earlier this summer, maybe 6 months ago. Great pub out in Rosemont, great episode, Rodak.
It was in 2005.
Okay.
Wow, OG.
Sorry?
OG, you are an original, well, that's a hip-hop term, original gangster. But it means
original
like,
gangster.
it just means you've been there, like you were one of the first.
Okay.
It's just like it's become a pop culture term.
Are you going to put like a cap in a cigar?
Yeah, when the thug life little sunglasses come on.
All right, number 9, episode 89, Canadian Beer Independence with Steve from BOS and Fred from Charlevoix. So that particular episode came about, we shot it at Mondial in I think May or June, and it was it was a follow-up to a new video we did called Industry Talk with the guys at Four Origins here, and it was basically those two guys talking about a Canadian, like forming a Canadian Brewers Association, essentially. So super interesting episode.
I've developed wonderful relationships with brewers right around the world, and to me, helping out a brewer is the most important thing that we can do, because when we help someone else, there's a sense that creates the atmosphere where we can all improve each other's work and we can all do better together. And none of us on our own can really stand up against, you know, the really giant breweries that we're competing against.
Yeah.
You know, they're literally thousands of times bigger than us. And at the same time, when we all stand together, we actually have a chance. And that's where you see that craft beer has performed the greatest. You also find that is where the brewers have worked together the most.
Number 8, episode 81, The Beer Unicorn with RENEE NAVARRO. Ren is a legend. If you guys are, anyone in Ontario should be pretty familiar with Ren and her activities and her new venture, Beer Diversity. Go follow her on Twitter. Got that down there. She is fantastic. She came through Montreal with her wonderful wife, Rebecca, and we hung out for a whole afternoon, did a great podcast at Helm, and it was just really interesting to talk to someone, particularly after the Dope and Dank episodes that we did last year.
Right, so you have to say, I know that the white hipster guys, because it's going to be 99% guys, are going to line up for this beer.
Yes.
When this beer makes it to a beer bar, I want everyone to go there.
Yes.
And I want it to be that when I walk in, I see diversity in the bar.
That is the best rebuttal to that. And that's exactly what it is.
And that's what it is. Like, who cares who lines up to get your beer? Because you already know that when I release this beer, I'm gonna do a Facebook post and I'm gonna do a Twitter post, and the same people are gonna lose their minds.
Yes.
They're my bread and butter. Yeah. But once that beer bar, so the Stillwells and the Arabellas of the world, and you know the Bar Hops and the Only and all of those places, when they get their hands on it and they roll that keg out a week or two after we've all had the hubbub about like, did you get the newest? I want to see diversity in the people who show up to get it then.
Number 7, episode 73, Get It In Ya, with the good kids at Sawdust City. So we actually recorded that podcast right after the brew day. So we did the brew day for the Get It In Your Beer in January, and then we went to the Griffin Pub in, I believe it's, what's the town called?
Bracebridge?
No, Bracebridge was where they are. No, yeah, we went in Bracebridge, yeah, because they were in Gravenhurst. With the whole squad, it got out of control, as you can tell. You'll see in a second. It was ridiculous. Just check it out.
What you guys represent is amazing. Like, you guys enjoy beer, you appreciate beer, you love beer.
Your passion for beer excites us.
Yeah.
Good. That is what we like. We like it coming back because sometimes there's some negativity.
Absolutely. Sam was saying on the way up here, like,
the way that
we're doing collabs, and you guys are asking technical questions that, like, only fucking brewers would ask.
Yeah.
And
like,
you guys are good, man. Like, you guys want to know what the fuck is going on.
And your excitement and passion invigorates
and
this excitement.
positivity, like
that's
we
what
are
we want.
fans of you guys.
Yeah, you guys.
I watch your videos. And
likewise, exactly.
Yeah. I love that you guys are like pushing craft beer. Like, man, it's awesome. Like, it's beautiful.
That's our drive, man. We love
Cheers,
what y'all do. And
yeah.
All right, number 6, episode 95, LACTOCALYPSE. Said that right. With my good friend Noah Forrest of BEERISMI. We did a whole episode at his place this summer. Just on milkshake IPAs. If you guys have been following us, you'd be aware of the Team Lactose, Team No Lactose nonsense we've been pushing all year, or most of the year since then. So it was pretty funny. We actually got to drink, I think it was 6 milkshake IPAs and see which one Noah liked or didn't like, and sort of discuss the origins of the style. And it was a really fun episode. Check it.
I'm glad we got to drink
6 milkshakes.
6 milkshakes. We're both going to take a
I'm
lactate.
I'm going to go vomit in the bathroom for a while.
I'm going to probably do more diarrhea than I've ever done.
All right, top 5. Serious countdown things right here. Number 5 is episode 80, Best Team in the League with Left Field. This was a fantastic episode, especially for me. You guys, would probably be aware that, I'm into the entrepreneurial side of beer. So I really enjoyed chatting with Mark and Mandy about that. These guys, had started everything just themselves, and their backgrounds were super interesting, and just not the typical approach that brewers are taking. So check that one.
There's actually no one way to rally cap. There's another way that you wouldn't ruin your hat, and I'll demonstrate
Let's
it.
see.
I
Tell
don't
us
have
about
the
that.
best hair, but
Oh, yeah.
sort of the sideways mohawk.
I like that.
Oh,
I
this
like
is also
that.
That's a rally cap too. It doesn't have to be inside out if you really
I totally
love your
ruined
hat.
my hat.
Yeah,
I know, right? You just mashed it up.
It's like freestyle. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Just wear it stupid, wear it
very
silly.
different.
Like us, right?
Number 4, episode 75, Drinking All the Way to the Bank with Chris Farmer of Mr. Banks in Melbourne. This was a sick episode. I'd connected with Chris online based on our mutual love of hazy beers, and it was really fun. Such a good guy. I keep hearing his beers are just getting better and better. I had a friend tell me yesterday actually that Mr. Banks is his favorite Australian brewery right now. So very keen to get back and try some of his stuff. You'll enjoy this one.
We had a partner when we first started. Okay. And like when we used to be like 20 years old, me and a bunch of our mates used to get around and get really drunk on bad beer, and
As we all did.
and play guitar, and because we were all in bands back in the day, and we used to call ourselves 10 Blokes. So
Okay.
because
So 10 Blokes Brew.
Yeah, so it was 10 Blokes
kinda
Brew
cool.
for a while. Yeah, it was kind of cool, but there was only 2 of us, and then he decided he didn't want to do it, and I was like, I can't keep 10 blokes, there's 1 bloke. That's kind of weird. So
All right, top 3. Number 3 is episode 96, Rainbow of Deliciousness. I like that one, with Chris and John of Silversmith out in Niagara-on-the-Lake. We did that at some point in the summer. I can't remember why. We were down there for Liquid Happiness-based activities. And, it was your birthday, Tiff. That's what it was. And we, I figured I'd squeeze in a podcast with the guys. Their black lager is probably the best black lager I've ever had in my life right now.
Right. So it kind of feels like this is the type of place that would have that level of loyalty, I guess.
Yeah, we get a lot of loyalty.
I guess you're the first in the area too. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal.
It is a big deal. Hey, let's celebrate the small wins.
This is a cheers
Hey,
to being first.
Cheers to being first, Chris.
and best.
All right, it's getting real. Number 2, episode 90, Refined Simplicity with Luke LaFontaine of Godspeed. Luke is such a good guy, really well spoken, incredible reputation, hence being the second most viewed or downloaded podcast of the year. Godspeed beers are exceptional. The brewery is gorgeous. I still haven't eaten there yet. The food I keep hearing is impeccable, and it was just a really great convo. Check that.
Everybody was, saying, oh, Luke's going to open a brewery. It's going to be crazy, It's going to be like, And for me, it's just like opening a brewery in 2017. You know, it's like it's a pretty scary thing.
It is,
you know?
yeah.
So I don't take anything for granted, and I cross my finger. I tell myself Godspeed, you know, every day. So so that's all the reason, but mainly, you know, to pay tribute to my you know, where it all started for me as a brewer. You know, like to UTCL, you know, I feel I owe a lot to these guys. You know.
All right, I was gonna say drum roll, but take a sip of your beer and then we'll get into it. All right, the #1 most downloaded podcast from BAOS of the entire 2018. This one I never would have seen coming. Episode 88, Beers to Discover, Spotlight on Ontario. So Scott and I started doing, we only did I think 2 episodes so far. One was on Ontario, one was on specifically Montreal beers. So we basically wanted to just break up the interviews here and there with episodes just him and I, like we used to do, sitting down, and we figured we'd theme them and we just talk about a particular region. Maybe, you know, we want to do Ottawa, we want to do Vermont and BC or whatever, just areas that we're familiar with. So I don't know what that means. I guess that means we have a solid Ontario I don't know, like viewer listenership that appreciates it and wants to know more about Ontario, or maybe there's people from other regions, but we definitely are going to keep doing more of those. So super interesting just to see how that all came together.
You have to understand, this is someone, if they're opening a craft brewery and they're putting their ass on the line, their money on the line, their family on the line, their everything on the line, and maybe their first batch of beers weren't that great, I'm not going to be like shit all over and say like, wow, this is fucking trash, don't buy this, don't, you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like, it's all about talking about the positive.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, this beer's in this brewery's in a new area, and you know, they have a nice variety of beers, come check it out. You know, they're still new, so they're still working on the recipes, but like for me, it's focus on the positive, not the negative, and I think there's too many people focusing on the negative and not paying enough attention to the positive.
Yeah, so. And writing them off without even giving them a fair chance.
You got to give people a chance.
Like
right?
Best example is like Bellwoods, who my personal favorite brewery in the country. They were not world-changing fire when they opened. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching, and look, for real, thank you all so much for all the support in 2018. This, like, things, I've said it before, but the BOS stuff was just a fun side project that was, I could be ridiculous with, and then it got really serious in kind of started getting serious in 2016 a little bit. 2017 it got pretty real, and this year it got super real. So you know, I'm just grateful that we're able to do it, that people are interested in the content that we're putting out, and we just keep to, you know, we're lucky to be able to travel, and you know, I get to sit down with people for 2 hours and talk to very intelligent, very successful people very often. It's super exciting, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So guys, thank you so much. If you enjoyed the episode, mate, boom, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, and hit the notification bell. Tiff?
Oh, dang. Sorry.
That's okay. I caught you off guard. So you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BOS Podcast, and check out the long form audio. You already know we just talked about it for 10 minutes. All the links in the description. So we're going to have a blog post as well of this with this video in there with links to all of the individual videos. I'll make sure I put all the links to all the full highlight videos in the description of YouTube and Facebook as well. And if you want to hear the full conversations, Spotify and Apple Podcasts will have everything there, guys. Thanks again. Enjoy the evening. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.